Okay, so I did a sticker sheet, and some people wanted to know how to do it. So it was basically this type of thing. I'm going to do a different one this time, but what we're doing is a sticker sheet where the background is printed and cut, but also these characters in this logo are also print, but then they're cut out separately, like a kiss cut. It doesn't go through the paper, just through the sticker part, so that you can peel it off this background. It's just a fun background. I need to do a better job of making these look like they live in the background. This was just a first test, and I'm not going to do an elaborate one this time either. But use your own. I'm going to try to come up with ideas. You guys do the same. If you make a flower basket and all the flowers are able to be pulled off, whatever you want to do. I think the possibilities are awesome, and there's videos on this, but this is my take on it. So, um, you're limited by print and cut, which is a pain, but we'll do the best we can. So I'm going to upload. I went to Google and just Googled like Mario wallpaper 4K or HD or something, and it just came up with a bunch of pictures from the Mario Brothers game and stuff. So I just found one that was okay. I did have to trim it down a little bit just to get it to a decent aspect ratio, but you could use almost anything and slice it or whatever, however you work with stuff. So roughly 9:6 is what I'm going for. So I'll lock my aspect ratio and go to 9 inches. Well, let's do 8.75. I'm going to put an offset around the outside of it. So it's roughly 9:6. And then when I work with white offsets, I change my canvas color. So if you go in the layers panel, click on your blank canvas and then go to color and just change it to something like a gray. You can also click where these two rulers meet on the grid, and it'll turn the grid to complicated and then gone. I like to get rid of the grid. So now we need to make an offset. So I will go to offset. I'm going to square the corners because I'm just doing a cut around the piece of paper. You could do this after. I'm going to make it cut all the way through the backing so that this 9:6 is cut out of a letter size piece of paper, 8.5 by 11. You could do it with scissors, or you could do it with a craft cutter, or you don't have to have a rectangular backer. You can make the back a star, the whole thing, and print all this stuff on it, and then have little stickers that come out of it. So the same thing will apply to this. I'm just happen to be doing a rectangle here, but there's nothing that says that the back of your sticker has to be a square or a rectangle. So we're going to cut it. We have to cut it out of a letter size sheet anyways, because Cricut won't do a full sheet anyway. So anyways, Cricut only knows edges. It doesn't see this picture. So just think about that. When you flatten something, all you're doing is giving it you're moving the edge. When I put this offset there and I stack them on top of each other, flattening it, all it does is just pushes the edge out to where now it's going to cut around everything that you flatten. That's kind of like cookie dough. If you imagine all these little shapes like cookie cutters, you can use squares to cut things out of other shapes and make different shapes. And then when you put them together to flatten, it's just basically like taking two pieces of dough and smashing them together into one cookie, I guess you could say. I deal with stupid analogies all the time. But anyway, so I'm gonna do a white offset. So for some reason, like 0.1 usually works out pretty good for me. If you click over here, I'll kind of give you a little preview. That's fine. So it defaults to black. I'm gonna make it white because whatever color you put, it's going to print it that color. So now, I don't want there to be two cuts. I want to print that white and move the cut to the outside. So I'll select the backdrop image and that offset, and I'm going to flatten. So you get this warning that says this is low resolution, and it's not really. You guys do Cricut all the time, and it drives me crazy. It'll be fine. Now we need to populate it with some characters. Well, let me take care of so instead of choosing a different setting for this cut around the outside, I'm just going to tell my Cricut to cut around this thing 3 times. And how I'll do that is already going to cut once. I need to cut 2 more times. What I'll do is I'm going to create another offset, but this time I'm going to do a 0 offset. I don't want it to go out any further. If you were doing like easy peel stickers, you would do a different offset, and so you'd have that little bit that slides out. And you could still do that here, but you know, it's just getting complicated. So we've added one offset, flattened it. Now we're going to add another offset, a 0 offset, so it's the same size, square, and okay, hit apply. So now we have this offset. I'm going to go ahead and hit Control D and make a copy of that. I'll drag it underneath the picture. I'm going to take all 3 of these, select them, go to Align Center, and then I'm going to attach them. So now they'll stay in the same place, and they're going to stay behind that. So what, again, Cricut doesn't know any better. It doesn't know what it's cutting. All it knows is there's 3 rectangles on the screen. It doesn't know that they could be on different sides of the mat, and the cut one here, one here. When you do attach, you just say, this is where I want them to be. If you attach them when they're far apart, they're going to stay that way, and it won't try to rearrange them. And do the same thing here. I'm going to put them on top of each other and attach, and it's going to cut, and then it doesn't know really that it's cutting in the same spot. It will, but it's just cutting your second rectangle and then your third rectangle. So really all this we have in our layers panel now is 3 rectangles to be cut. That's all the Cricut cares about. It's going to pass off the print to your printer, and we've told it to do that. I'm going to say, okay, we're going to do some printing first, but when we come back to you, all I want you to do is cut these 3 rectangles. So now we're going to give it some more shapes to cut. I'm going to do that by going to Upload, and again, I've found some characters and stuff. I can start with, say, this logo. And what you'll need to do is just find these by Googling them or whatever, and just use your favorite background remover. Some of them you'll find with no background already, but just save them as a PNG, you know, or get them as a JPEG, or however you get them. Get the background gone is all you want to do. So, and we're just going to arrange it wherever we want it to be. So we can say we can put it there. It doesn't matter. It's kind of dead space down there anyways. Now we're going to add another element. We're going to take Mr. Mario here, add him, and then we'll scale him down. We can put him wherever we want to. Again, this is not a great design. It's just quick and dirty. Let's add one more just to make it slightly complicated. And to add these, you know how you guys said you just upload image. I've got a folder that I started. Here's a mushroom. We'll add that. And we're just doing it as a flat graphic. The background's already removed. You can remove the background in here as well if you guys are, you know, sometimes you know how it does. Sometimes it does a good job, sometimes it does not. So we got, anyways, we got all these little elements. We can have him, you know, he's chasing it or something like that if you play the game. Actually, I'll just put it down here. He's gonna have to come down here and get it. Okay, I could add a bunch more stuff. Right now we have 3 separate things. Okay, and we don't need to work with them separately. If we know what we're doing, we can just go ahead and flatten all those together because they're in place. Now they'll move together, but we know where we want them, so we pretty much just lock them there. Now we can do our offset. We're going to go with that 0.1 again. Let's see if it looks all right on this. And sure, that's fine. Again, it's turned black. I'm going to turn it to white. You can make a larger one or a smaller one. You can make a different color. You can make it blue to blend it. I just like white offsets on stickers. They just look nice when you put them on something, especially, you know, wood or something. You see how that's back there? So what we need to do with those offsets is go do the same thing. We've got that one flattened. We're going to grab those together and flatten that. So this whole thing gets flattened together. And now all this is a separate thing. And if you were to put that on a mat by itself, it would do just this. It would cut this and then cut around that white spot. But now that we put it here, we tell it where to go. We've got one last thing to do, because if we go to hit make it now, it's going to try to put those on 2 separate mats. You see how I did that? Because it's 2 separate jobs. We need to tell it again that we want to cut them where we put them. So how do we do that? We attach. So all we have to do is we click on our this design, which is the 3 elements, these 3 characters, I guess you'd say, and then hold it so that we get the back, and then we go and attach those. Don't flatten it, because if you flatten it, then you're smushing it all together, and then you've just moved all your edges out, and it's just going to print this little picture we've created and cut once, and we don't want that. So we're just going to attach it. And so now this is all sort of just grouped together now, attached. Just think of it as like, okay, everybody, this is one mat, this is one job. You know, keep things where I put them and don't try to put them on another mat. So it's, if you work in any other software, this is basically group. So then we've got this, and you can go and see what everything is. It's got our 3 characters, print and cut. We want that. And then underneath that, we've got a print and cut. And then technically underneath that, we've got 2 more basic cuts in order to, after we've printed everything and cut our little characters out, we want to do 3 cuts around the outside to punch it out. So that's really it. And now when you go to make, you'll see that we've just got the one mat, and you know, you can't really tell what it's doing now, but I went ahead and did a test run with this, and you know, it worked just like this. So before I'd done all of the cuts in the character the way I did those offsets and just put basic cuts back behind the picture. I made 2 copies, which you can do. It just seemed like an extra step. So, but really all you need to do is make your stickers like you would normally do, and then just have another image underneath it and the layer underneath. It's as simple as that. So I probably should have led with that, but all you're doing is just replacing your blank sticker page, and you're coloring it, pre-coloring it, or putting a background on it, you know. And then just think of it that way. Okay, I'm printing a background onto my paper, on my sticker paper, and then I'm putting my design on top of that and cutting it out. You're just doing it all digitally, stacking it sort of, and just think about what you're doing as you build from the bottom. Okay, I need it to be cut out. One cut's not going to go all the way through, so I'll tell it to do 3 cuts, and you know, and then other than that, it's just stickers on top. And what's fun about these, instead of just trying to arrange stickers like you normally do to get as many on the page as you can, you're arranging them in a scene. And then, you know, you could put like your, you know, thanks for shopping, or blah blah, or you know, or birthday something, whatever. Theme it up, put text on it, have the text be able to be pulled off, or whatever you want. But I think it's neat, you know, being able to maybe for school stuff, you know, put letters and stuff, or they have to pull off a cow and match it with the spelling or something. The picture goes with the word. That kind of stuff. Seems like the possibilities are out there. But that's all I got for this. I know some people struggle a little bit with printing. Just when you go to send it to your printer, turn off the bleed, click use your system dialog, especially when you're working with sticker paper, because what you want is this, depending on your brand. I've got a Brother, and when I go to something like preferences, I get their dialog. And so this would be bad because it's not set to photo paper. So I use this other photo paper because I use Koala brand, and make sure that the size is correct. That's very important. You want to make sure that, you know, your print quality is set to the best that you can, you know what I mean, if you want. Sometimes it'll say that's, you know, too much or something like that, but photo or best is great. Advanced, I had mine set to grayscale earlier, so you definitely want to make sure you've got to set the color. You don't want like ink save mode or any of that kind of stuff. Sometimes you'll have different modes like vivid versus photographic. If you're printing anything with like flesh tones, actual pictures of people, don't use like vivid, because it'll, like my color mode is set to natural, which is good. If you set it to vivid, their faces will get kind of orange and stuff. So use your print dialog, and then make sure especially your scaling is set to off or something, because you don't want to scale. I think a lot of people have trouble when they go to do a print then cut, if it's cutting way off, I think there's two partners in this dance, which is your Cricut and your printer. And if your Cricut has been calibrated and it's functioning, assume that it is, then what's left is your printer. And imagine what happens if you were to print something that was, 8 inches or so, and then you tell your printer to fit it to my paper size. Now, what if that increases the size just a little bit, zooms it in a little bit? What happens then is that Cricut send it thinking you're going to print it at scale, at 1-to-1, at 100%, but now you went and you printed it at 105. Well, it's got no way of knowing that. So when you come back to cut, it's cutting at 100%, and your print is at 105, so you're 5% off, and that can be exacerbated by depending on where it is. So just scaling, I think a lot of people have trouble with, and they can solve a lot of problems with looking at your printer and your paper size and all that kind of stuff and scaling, rather than keep beating your head against the wall with your Cricut. It's a pretty good little. They do break, but especially I've seen people with a brand new Maker 3 and they're like, I can't get it to cut. You might be printing wrong. So nowadays people don't print as much as they used to. I grew up printing, so I got a lot of print hours on this printer in here. So then you just hit OK. It's going to print it out, and it'll walk you right through it. You print it out. Just make sure you put it on your mat the exact same way that it shows up on your canvas, and you're good to go. And then you'll have a neat little background. And they pull off. They're downstairs. So I'd show you the ones I made up. But that's it for me. Sorry I ran long, but hope you got something out of it. All right, you guys take care.